time, here every week. Just riffing, jump in the room, let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep. Just riffing.
What's up, everybody? J6, Line Trash. We're doing this live on, we're testing it. We are live on Instagram, live on YouTube, live on Twitter video. And yeah, I'm a little bit under the weather and I'm down in the basement, so you're not going to get like a awesome background looking. Got J6 here, Line Trash. J6, how are you feeling, man? I'm a little under the weather, but how about you? Oh, man, can't hear you, bro. All right, we're having audio difficulties with my co-host, J6. So hopefully he'll get that figured out. Jump in the StreamYard too, J6, if you get a chance. So, yeah, the last song that I played was Mia Leilani, Vacation. There we go. Now I could hear you. Yeah, jump in the StreamYard, bro. And welcome, everybody on Instagram. You've never seen us before. You just heard the voices. So I'm Hefner. I'm one of the hosts, co-hosts of this show, Jus Riffin. And we talk music and tech and everything in between. And we have guests from Grammy Award winners to Emmy nominated musicians and artists and to the indie artists. So we like to talk to everybody. We like to get a feel for what's going on in their world with music and the technology that's helping them get to where they want to go. So welcome everybody to the show. J6, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Unfortunately, I can't jump into StreamYard because since I'm mobile, I jumped in there, but for some reason, the phone is not recognizing my Bluetooth headset as an input device for mic. So I had to go to the computer, and my computer doesn't have a camera on it, so I can't jump into StreamYard as a result of that. But we'll be on track next week, though, and I'm glad I just got audio. I didn't even know if I was going to get that for a second. It was looking pretty hairy.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you at all earlier, and I was like, "Oh no, not that."
Was that?
I heard you earlier, but I was like, "Oh no, not that." Anyway, look, we're live on YouTube. I'm live on Instagram. I'm looking at everything now. It looks pretty cool. I haven't looked at the YouTube, but if you guys can check it out just to make sure everything is looking right, Line Trash. If we're on audio, also I think on X Spaces. We should be, I'm sorry, not audio, but video as well somewhere. I'm not sure where, if we are or not, but at any rate, such is life. But I'm glad that you got the audio working. Now you're in the club tonight. This happens every once in a while where you get stuck, you know what I mean? And you can't get out of it. And so what's going on there tonight? Tell everybody what's happening at where you're at.
Well, I feel pretty grateful actually because, to be quite honest and full transparency, since we do talk a lot about the blockchain, which is a trustless ledger, which is transparent for everybody to see, I may as well be transparent about my life too. Well, life is a struggle sometimes. And, ideally, I'd like to stay home and make music on my day off and create music and do the Jus Riffin show. But in reality, if somebody calls out, I have to cover, I look at it as a blessing because there's a couple extra bucks, help stretch out the month a little more. Because a lot of times there's more month than there is money to pay for the month, So, but anyway, I digress. It's no stress. I think everybody in the world kind of can relate to what I'm saying here. I'm not crying the blues or anything. And I'm so grateful to have a gig. So I'm here at a strip club and I'm DJing and I'm making some extra bucks and it's still music related. I'm playing music. It's kind of cool. It hips me to music that I normally don't listen to. And I think that's a good thing because I think it influences me, whether it influences me away from what they do here musically or influences me a little towards it subconsciously. And I'm all for it. And I try to bring a positive light wherever I go. And this isn't really an environment that I enjoy being in, to be quite frank with you. But I try to be a light in here and maybe, cast a little positivity. Without sounding too much like a hippie, I'm grateful to be here and I'm grateful to have a job. And I'm also grateful to have great stories to write songs about because some people, they do music all full time and that's a blessing too. But I think I got some different stories that I can add to the mix that maybe some people don't, that maybe just kind of sit home and play guitar all day or, eat sushi with the Red Hot Chili Peppers and make an album. I don't know.
Yeah. But, hey, I want to say real quick, I want to say big ups to Too Tough is in the Instagram, what up, Too Tough? Glad to see you, man. And always out there doing his thing, you know, and pushing. Tough Crew, one of my favorite groups. As you already know, I told you when you were on the show. And the Deuce Ace Detonator is in the building with us. And then we got Peace God just started following us. So thank you very much for the follow, and I hope you dig the show. This is an unusual show for us today because we had something going on, but how do I say this? You know, the person that was scheduled to be on our show today. Oh, Dutch, there you go, Dutch. Where are you at, Dutch? Jump in the spaces with us, bro. Peace God is Dutch. All right, so Dutchyy is here with us on Instagram. But I would love to get you to come on the show so you could shoot the shit with us. Line Trash is here too, and Line Trash's been doing some cool stuff with us. And Line Trash, what's up with you, buddy?
No, not much, man. Just chilling, hanging out at the RV, doing some more art. Had a long day at work.
No doubt, man. Yeah, you're doing
Hot up here.
You said hot? Where you're out in Cali?
Yeah, it was hot.
You're out in Cali, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh,
That's all I got going on. Work and art.
Working hard, dude. Nothing wrong with that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do we talk about today, everybody? Like, what can we discuss? You know, music on the blockchain. I don't know. You know, for us, it's for musicians. You know, I just say you're a musician, right? Not a blockchain musician. You're just a musician. If you happen to put your music on the blockchain, cool, man. But that doesn't change the title of a musician. You can't add, you know, Web3 or blockchain or anything to that. In my opinion, I just say, look, if that's what you do, that's what you do. You know, that's it. There's no labeling that. You know, it already has a label, which is a musician. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stick to my guns on that. You know, I do think that there are these outlets like the blockchain that will provide. Well, it's been providing, you know, access for musicians, mainly indie artists. You don't really see any major label artists on any of these platforms. At least I have not. I have not seen any major artists dabbling into this, you know, blockchain. They're all staying on the traditional side of things. You know, they're still on Spotify and they're still, you know, just making music and looking for a record deal or putting stuff out independently. But no one's really focused musically. I would say there's a small percentage of people that are on these platforms like Sound, .xyz, and you know, I'm not sure. What was that? Orb? Is it Orb? Orb is another platform, I believe, that allows you to put music on there, you know, and whatnot. But I believe that this is just all independent artists that are on here trying to get their leg up and find their lane. Right? Because they have not found their lane on a major label or in a major way, you know, where they can get up and out. So this is something that maybe saved some musicians, maybe put some money in some musicians' pockets, you know? I just feel like the musicians are going there, but they're not, the consumers, the mass consumers are not there yet with buying stuff on the blockchain. They're just not. And I just don't think that they will for a while. I think it's going to take a long time for that to even, you know, come to fruition, if it even does, right? I hate to be what is it, Debbie Downer or Negative Nancy. I'm speaking the truth, and I'm speaking, you know, from my heart. I'm speaking from my mind. This is my opinion, obviously. But what do you guys think on what I just said in regards to the state of music on crypto Twitter and what we're, you know, what we're involved in?
Well, I mean, I think that's an inaccurate assessment, actually. I think Avenged Sevenfold, they're a very famous band. They're doing lots of things on the blockchain. Dead Mouse has started a whole thing. I forget the name of the company. It's easy enough to Google, though, where they're using blockchain technology to create music with semi AI involved, creating tracks and allowing like non musicians and musicians who dabble a little bit to create tracks with what they're creating. And you know, there's lots of well, what's that one artist? There's many mainstream artists. I would say many that
that are
are
on the
entering the blockchain.
okay, that are
And
entering but not on there yet, right? I'm the only
no,
speak.
no, 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 they're on there.
Oh, okay.
So like, okay, so check it out.
I don't know any of
So
them. Tell me, school me on
okay,
it.
well, okay, so hold on a second. So the Mouse Web 3. Let me get the name of the company so I feel a
Okay,
little bit
no problem. And Dutchyy
less
is here with
and
us.
the only reason why I'm not 100% familiar with it is because I investigated and I wasn't interested in it. But however, they are there though. And Event Sevenfold, they're offering all kinds of like special like VIPs with their fans and using blockchain technology. And this actually segues into something else I wanted to talk about.
Hmm.
Some indie artists know about Patreon. It's been around for
A
I
long
guess
time.
it's been around about 4 or 5 years, right? Maybe more than that.
More than
Even.
that.
Maybe
I think so.
yeah,
More
more than
than
that.
that.
Yeah, it's maybe like 10 years. But this I watched this video piece of a lecture he gave at South by Southwest. The creator of Patreon. Let me get his name so I don't be so I'm not a total idiot.
All good. While you're looking for that, and instead of rambling on, I'm gonna jump in and say I knew about Avenged Sevenfold because we did an article on them on JusRiffin.com. So we did an article on that in regards to what their involvement is with the blockchain. But I don't see Drake on there. I don't see Jay-Z, Beyonce, Elton John, Billy Joel, Rolling Stones, The Who. I don't know. I don't see any. I don't see Taylor Swift. I'm talking major label artists. I don't see them gravitating towards it. So
so Chris Brown, there were a lot of major artists, plenty that attempted drops, but they didn't succeed at it, and mainly because I think the space is kind of fickle, or not fickle, but they're kind of snooty about like outsiders coming in. Like it's almost like you have to be in the space for a while and prove that you're into it, and not just coming in for a cash grab. But then again, this new meme coin craze kind of goes against the grain with that because what happened over the past several months with that.
all right,
But
let me jump in real quick with cash grab, right? Because we know the term cash grab, but as a musician, you're a musician, you know this. You might not focus in on making the money, but you're doing it so that way the money income can come in and you can be free to just do your music without having to worry about that. So I do believe that if you're a musician, it shouldn't be considered a cash grab if you are a musician, right? If you're just somebody that's like faking the funk on a nasty dunk. Okay.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Chris Brown, who doesn't need the money to sustain his music career. He's not missing any meals. So he has a team. I'm speculating. I'm not speculating this, but I'm generalizing it because I don't know specifics. But generally, how this works is, and some people that work within his team that recommend, hey, this is what we're gonna do. This blockchain shit is hot. We're gonna get involved. We're gonna make a project. We're gonna create it. We're gonna put it out there, and it's gonna be. This is what it's gonna be. And but it didn't smell great to the people that were his regular fans. They weren't into the blockchain, and the people that were in this space weren't feeling it because they felt like he wasn't genuinely in the space. So what happened is he launched a 10,000 unit project. You figure 10,000 units for Chris Brown would be pretty easy. He's one of the largest pop stars in the world. Well, he came out and he launched it. And on launch day, he launched, I think it was a little over 300 units sold out of 10,000.
But this is like I say, his fans are not in Web3. His fans don't have a digital wallet. At least, again, everything I'm talking is opinionated, but I believe this is why. They're not the society, people that buy his music and that watch his videos and love him and that they're fans, they're not doing all that. They're not jumping through the hoops. You and I, Line Trash and Dutchyy and Hish that's in the audience with us, and a lot of our community, like Rug Radio community and just our community in general, we're tech savvy. We get it. We understand how hooking up a digital wallet works, a crypto wallet, so you can, buy tokens and, put them in your wallet and then go to a website that has Chris Brown's music and you can purchase it right there. I just think that it's very minute, amount of people that are looking to buy music on the blockchain. So yeah, it might have looked a little scammy, coming from Chris Brown, and I think Soldier Boy, was doing something with a coin and whatnot. And I think that's really where they ended up, like, figuring out, like, the music isn't going to make them money from it, but if they create a coin, like, look at Iggy, right? Is it Iggy or Izzy, whatever her name is, Azalea? She made a coin called Mother, and bada bing, right? She didn't do anything with the music. She didn't put any of her songs on the blockchain. She just created a coin to cash out on that, to give her more freedom and to put more money in her pocket. So,
Well,
yeah, I don't know. I just
yeah,
think,
yeah,
like,
well,
people
well,
don't,
no,
yeah. I just
for
think people,
sure, but
real quick before you go, I want to say this last thing. I just feel that people that are fans, and I'll give you, like, okay, well, I'm just going to use the biggest pop star right now, Taylor Swift. Her Swifties aren't going and putting MetaMask or Phantom on their phone or on their desktop or their laptop to do it. The only way it would happen with a mega star like her would be that she has to do it, but explain it to everybody, all her fans, so it doesn't feel scammy, and that they get walked through it. I think that would happen for any major artist that would be selling music on the blockchain. Chris Brown, my opinion, just they did it all wrong. The whole team did it wrong. They saw the money, like you say, they saw the money, and they thought they were going to be able to make it quick cash. But those people that buy their music aren't on the blockchain buying music. They're buying music in if they're even buying music, or they're streaming it on Spotify or YouTube music, where you don't have to even buy music anymore. You can just stream the albums right from there. So,
for sure,
yeah, I don't know.
you
This
know,
is my opinion
but
here.
for sure, but I do want to add to that though. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I don't look at it as blockchain based. I look at it as just a solution for artists. And the trend seems to be towards independent artists managing and handling their own shit. Now, sure, blockchain using a ledger like blockchain is very useful in doing that. And I want to rewind back to we were talking about Patreon, right? And his name is Jack Conti, and he did a great presentation at South by Southwest. I didn't go to Southwest, but I watched it on YouTube. But I want to give you the short of it real quick because it's pertinent to what we're talking about. And basically, and he used incidentally during his lecture, which is about an hour. I would suggest everybody check it out. Just YouTube Jack Conti, South by Southwest. But he used terminology a lot, like in web 1, web 2, and he didn't say web 3, but to me it was almost like he was leading into an announcement that's going to be coming in the future with them utilizing blockchain technology. I could be wrong about that. I'm speculating that, but we'll see. Time will tell. But what I want to say about it is it's very interesting because he created something. I'm not going to go on about the story of him, but he was just a YouTuber. Patreon started in 2013, and before that, him and a friend of his, a female friend, they started a band, Pompamoose. I think that's what they were called, and they created a lot of traction online, and they decided, hey, this is a great model. And he created an app for indie artists to manage their shit, not using blockchain or anything as of yet. But here's the very interesting thing of this. They created a very nice platform for artists to, you know, to manage their communities and also get reciprocated economically and also have a closer connection with their fans, if you want to use that word. And it's a very good system. I don't use it myself, but I did log in and I checked it out. But this is interesting because he just gave this big lecture at South by Southwest. And just recently, over the past couple of days, there was just I just saw an announcement where Apple is making them change their whole payment structure to stay on their app. Now, this is very interesting to me because I don't know if you remember, I know you remember we had Jameson Hill on the show, and he said that Apple was doing away with their app store, and not in America, at least that's not true. And basically, let's say have our music, we put a band together in our music and stuff, and we have a Patreon community, and they've been paying us for the past 2 years, and they pay us. We have tiers, and we're getting like $30 a month from our people that dig our music and our community. Well, now Apple came in and said, hey, from now on, you're going to have to bill, like, your if you have a Patreon account, you're going to have to bill your customers through Apple, not through Patreon. and when they bill to us, they have to pay the Apple's 30%. So now all of a sudden, you and me as artists on Patreon, that $30, Apple's going to get 30% of that. And the guy from Patreon is like, was like, it's breaking it down, and I'm sure everybody understands what's going on with this, and it's wild. Like it's wild. What a kick in the nuts that is. It's like artists have a hard enough time, but anyway, I think this is all alluding to Patreon having a midterm scope, maybe a year or two of them building blockchain technologies behind it. And I think Apple, to me, and I'll end this now. I know I've been rambling a little bit, but I think Apple is basically taking their last, what's the word I'm looking for? Like these companies realize that they're losing the reins, so they're taking their last cash grab, so to speak. Like, okay, a couple years from now, this shit's all going to be, we're not going to be able to control this shit. So we're going to make sure we get this shit now, because everybody's going to kind of be doing their own thing. And that's what I feel the future is. I feel the future is everybody's going to have their own platform. How they're going to utilize that and create a network effect, I don't know. Like, how is Too Tough and Cookie Rabinowitz, how are we going to merge our network and with our own apps, as opposed to like something like a Twitter or Facebook, where we're kind of all connected. I don't know how individual platforms can have a network effect like that, but I think that is the long game, and I think blockchain technology will be used in it. But I don't think it needs to be used in it. But I think it will be used in it. I'm sorry, I rambled a little bit, but I hope I made some sense.
Yeah, no, perfect. You made perfect sense. Yeah, and again, this is it's all new, right? This whole thing. But yeah, I like the whole structure of Patreon. But okay, so with a lot of these, and I want to bring Dutchyy up after this, but a lot of these companies that are that have music on the blockchain already. Some of these companies that are already up and out. I know that they push for the artists, right? But I don't know how hard. I don't see any advertisement to the actual public, and I don't see them really pushing to the public to get people to their platform. I think what they're doing is getting musicians to their platform and giving them some sort of hope that their music is going to get heard. With any musician, that is all you really want. You want people to hear your music and to love it. You do it with passion, and you want the people that are listening, the audience, to feel your passion. Now, I do believe that, if you're put out to the masses over and over and over again, kind of like what, mainstream radio does, and they just embed it in your brain, the song. Most of those songs are really good. They're not terrible, right? They're really good, produced really well, and they're major, right? So they know what they're doing. The engineers, the sound engineers, the audio, the mixers, people who's mixing engineer, and then the mastering engineer. They make sure that it's ready for radio and that it sounds primo. And there's a lot of money that goes behind that. The independent artist, it's very hard for them to get that amazing quality sound. I know that there's plugins today, but some of these people, that's what they're paid for, the big bucks, because they got that ear. A good friend of mine, Joey, who's a great musician from Philly also, J6. I keep calling you by your real name every once in a while. Sorry about that. And, we talked about him. He's a great musician, and he's been having trouble with people mixing his music. That it's like he gets the stuff back from them, he tells me, and he doesn't even use it because he feels like most of these people are just closet engineers, at home, doing their thing. They're not getting paid the big bucks. They're doing, little jobs here and there, charging someone $500 to mix their song. You know what I mean? So I really feel that, if you want to get heard, really, really heard, you got to push. And whether it's you pushing yourself, and I'm rambling on here too, or it's the major label pushing you, that's really what it is. And I really know that being a musician, I just want my music to be heard. I just want people to hear it. I want people to like it. And that's it. And once that happens, then you keep doing, you keep pushing. With these platforms today, you get lost in the sauce there too, because there's all these independent musicians that are on these platforms like Sound.xyz and Orb and whatever other platforms are out there that you can put your actual song on there. And we'll get to Dutchyy in a second because he knows he's been putting music on the blockchain, and he's been dealing with blockchain since I think 2017. He told me so. He could rectify that. But yeah, this is my opinion again too, right? I really just feel that that's what it is. You, as a musician, you want to get yourself heard, and it's very hard to do that on an independent level unless you got backing and you got someone that's helping you, a team, a village, whatever. All right, I'm done rambling. J6, I know I do it from time to time, ramble, but that's how I feel. And so, yeah, I want to bring up Dutchyy. Dutchyy is a Dutch master. He is an amazing producer, MC, been involved with hip hop for a long time. We had a discussion. We talked the other day, and we just chopped it up a little bit. I've been under the weather, not feeling good, so I cut the convo short with him. But glad that he's here today with us. Dutchyy, welcome to Jus Riffin. I'm glad you were able to make it. How are you doing today?
Yo, peace. Thanks for having me. I'm doing infinitely better than yesterday. Last time we talked.
That was good.
Major changes. So, I can I'll expand on that after the show. But, wow, since I've like came in, there's been like so many topics like touching into one another, and I guess I should like disclaimer. I sound 14, but I'm 42. My first like record like on vinyl I was in 10th grade, so I've been intimately attached to releasing music since before, or like right at the cusp of the great experiment of Clear Channel taking over the radio, which I feel like was like a precursor to like how algorithms are used right now. So I'd like to like touch on everything that was like talked about in kind of like reverse and see and touch on how it all connects.
Yeah, let's do it because I definitely want to hear your opinion on this. We're heavily opinionated people too, but I definitely want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so Patreon was mentioned. Apple realizing their loss of grip and last cash grab. A lot of cash grab, a lot of talking about like promoting platforms. So I can break it down like so. Beyond like music and stuff, you can see every industry right now feels like it's like everyone knows its end game and they're trying to extract as much as possible. Whether it be video games, example being like studio Bungie, who got acquired by Sony for $4 billion. Destiny 2, 10th year. They just released the final shape. It was successful. They let go of 25% of their staff. Like everyone feels like it's like they're cut, like they're getting ready for like the greatest depression. This is definitely evident in like Web3 too. Like everyone. It feels like it's just like trying to get people to use it as quickly as possible for whatever reason to extract, but the user base just isn't there. I also want to make it clear that like Web3, like me putting my music on blockchain has like literally changed my life for the better.
Tell us how. Tell us how it's changed your life. Because you're a traditional music artist, right? You came before the blockchain. Yeah. You were making music before the block. Okay, so tell us about your journey to the blockchain and how it's changed your life financially utilizing the blockchain.
Yeah, so I've been releasing music since the mid 90s. Like independently on records back when that was like possible. Back when the internet was like a free place. I was like in AOL chat rooms. That's how I met hella legends, and I'm sure you know a lot of them too, because like a lot of cats on the West Coast, like we all were in, people like things like Anticon and Weathermen and all these like underground groups. Like we were all in the same AOL hip hop chat room back in the 90s.
Yeah, very independent.
So a lot like spawned out from that. So like I had like a love relationship with tech for a very long time because, you know, like hip hop, I witnessed it go from what it was to, you know, I would say like the example would be like De La Soul Stakes is High versus like Puff Daddy All About the Benjamins. Like music, I used to come home from school and then be able to see like Boogie Monsters and just like really like a wide diversity of dope music at my disposal on the TV. And after like the Tupac Biggie death, it just became like, you know, you even had Nas doing some like fake mafioso shit. So I think the industry like uh changed and went to a direction um that pushed like this image of like unattainable wealth. Like there was years we thought that these rappers were like rich, you know, like but they were poor as fuck. Like they, you know,
Yeah,
we just saw they had years.
I want to tell you something that you just sparked a memory in my mind. Many, many moons ago, I want to say it was 91. I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and I was good friends with Steve D from the X-Men and from the Superman crew, rather, not the X-Men. And so I went to go meet up with Steve, like somewhere, I don't know, in Harlem or the Bronx. I don't even know where the hell I was at. And he was with Barry B, DJ Barry B, you know, Dougie Fresh's DJ, one of his DJs. And I'm a sneakerhead. You know, I've always been a sneakerhead since I'm young. And the first thing I did was I looked down at his kicks. And he was just wearing some kicks that were like, they were white, but they were black, if you know what I mean. And I was like, man, in my head going, damn, are they not making the money that I'm thinking that they're making? So yeah, I just wanted to jump in and intertwining your convo with that. So this is the truth, man. This is the truth. Not everybody's making money like you think they are.
Yeah, and even the ones that are making like really good money, like it's like music or just money in general, like you get a lot of money and then especially like with like the image that hip hop at least commercially portrays, you got to like kind of keep up that image. So you're spending crazy amounts of money and there's really no guarantee of that shit keep coming in. And the world, I mean, the world has changed so much, you know, like we went from like, you know, like college radio and guerrilla marketing, like street teams, like to then the blog era, you know what I mean? And like forums and shit. And you could really, you know, if you were about it, you could really like get your shit out there. And that was like advantageous for me to be successful in a way to where maybe I wasn't ever financially successful for music, but at least like, I mean, I'm in the Source, I'm in Double XL, Blaze, Herb, I'm in every magazine. So if we're going by that metric, my cultural impact is successful. But I realized like very early on that like to like survive off of music long term as an artist is like much more work than it is to just like work a job. Unless you're, you know, you're willing to like bend and you know, do some jiggy shit or whatever it is, and that's still like a lottery, and it's also still not like super sustainable long term because you never know.
Yeah, you just keep chasing is what it is, you know. You just keep chasing that, and you're right though. I wanted to back it up a second. You were talking about like you know, keeping up the image, you know, that you just said it there really with that is there was a lot of people that, and they probably still do it today, but they'll rent a Lambo, rent a Ferrari or whatever.
Oh, they absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I
do
mean? And even jewelry, even jewelry for that matter.
Yo, I don't mean to cut you guys
Do
off,
it.
but you guys wouldn't believe what it is like for me maintaining this 2013 Corolla. I mean, the fucking, it's just wild, dude. It's crazy. I'm sorry. I
Yeah, dude, he's funny, J6. But yeah, you know, like this is what it is, you know. And those people that do that, they don't last. Like you said, you can't sustain that. You just cannot sustain it. Sorry, it just doesn't work.
I mean, they're like obviously there are like rare cases of people that are sustaining, you know, or like that can sustain, but it's like it's a team, and it's definitely not like as luxurious as you think, you know, like they still got to worry about stuff for the most part. Like album sales were like never a way anyone can survive long term. It was always like touring and merch. And the world has changed so much. And like what brought me on blockchain basically was like 2015. Like we used to live in a world where I could like live my life, put, not be on the internet. I'd come on the internet, but I wasn't like living on the internet. And I could make a single post on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, Tumblr, whatever, and sell out a tape, like, and walk away. 2015, we lost those chronological real-time feeds. And I don't think people understand like how much this plays into everything, single thing we're discussing, promo, anything like that, because losing real-time communication feeds, like what's the point of building an audience that you don't even reach? Like it's like RNG reaching them.
Yeah.
And you're like force-fed all this other bullshit. It's like, it really plays in. So my last official album was an instrumental album called Traversal in 2016. And then after that, I'm like, well, I already like work a career. I don't need music. I haven't used music to make money. Like I learned that like the Raucous album was like, I was like, fuck this shit. I'm just going to work and just make what I like.
Well, since you mentioned Raucous, I want to know, because I know other musicians that were on Raucous as well. I want to hear what your experience was like being at Raucous when you were there.
So prior to Raucous, I was like my first release as my real name is Dutch. My artist name MCing was Dutch Massive. I was in a group called Equilibrium, which was me, Magic Motion, self-titled. Self-titled, moved to NYC, and formed Demigods with like Apathy, Serious Walls, Lewis Logic, etc. He released the album with Buckwild. He was on the Fort Minor album. Mike Shinoda is also somebody who's, I guess, major, air quote, who's in blockchain. But yeah, so my first like solo release, because we scrapped our group album. We only released like two singles on vinyl. One of them is like How I Have a Career. We sampled the Windows 95 startup sound for a song called Windows 98. And because like, the pool of people doing shit officially back then on the internet was pretty small. Someone started a rumor that Bill Gates was suing us for using the Windows 95, and everyone picked it up. So
yeah,
they gave us like traction and shit. And that record also had like Vex from the Boogie Monsters like on the single and stuff. So yeah, from there we were just able to like keep making records and stuff. And then I kind of wanted to do solo shit because, it was like I was young as fuck, and back then it was like the 90s, like, like I was still into that super like battle shit, super aggressive shit. But it was to a point where I'm like, man, I got a fan base. I want to be more responsible with my words. I don't want to be just saying nothing. Like that Far Side quote, I got to say something that means something, like really stuck with me. So
that was a slept on album, by the way, the Lab Cabin. That was a great album.
That shit, it's crazy. That's like, of discographies, like that's like the one that's impossible for me to choose which one I like more, because both are like equally classics.
Incredible. And the first album cover, you know what that is, right? Do you remember? The roller coaster where they're coming out of?
I have multiple copies of that album.
Everybody go look at that album cover. It's Bizarre Ride to the Far Side, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think. They're on a roller coaster, but where are they coming out of? Tell me that. Okay, Bizarre Ride.
The Funhouse? Here, I'm looking at it right now.
No, I don't want you to say it. I want the audience to come with it, but it's funny as hell if you really look at the art. And the art, amazingly, is great. It's fantastic, that artwork.
Oh, it's one of my favorite covers ever.
Yeah. And the another album on Delicious Vinyl was a Master Ace Sitting on Chrome album. Had some dope artwork on that as well. Just great albums. Slaughterhouse and Sitting on Chrome.
So based on what you just said, I can give you like two like fun facts, and then I want to get back to like the Web3, like how the Web3 stuff, because I feel it's important. But so my actual gateway drug to like real hip hop, because like I've been like a music, I'm like an art, I'm like since a baby. So like like before I got into actual hip hop, it was like Crisscross, Vanilla Ice, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Aha, Depeche Mode, like whatever I could do it. What changed my life was watching In Living Color, and I saw The Far Side, and I was like, "What the fuck?" That like, and it was those like jazzy. She keeps up that shit like
Mm.
entranced me, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find where that existed. And then one night I was like, I came home from playing tag, and parents were asleep, and I like turned on the TV, and I stumbled on, I think it had to be OMTV Raps. I don't know if it was the segment where it was Fab Five Freddy or Ed Rock or Ed
Ed
Lover
Lover and
and
Dr. Dre, yeah.
yeah. But it was like the three videos like back to back were It Ain't Hard to Tell, KRS Boom Bap Original Rap, where it's like basically a sampler of the entire album, and then Gangstar Mass Appeal.
Classics.
And from that moment, I was like, all right, now I know where to find it. And it's crazy that I went from like that to being an actual artist like very shortly after. But yeah, so it was funny, like the Far Side, like full circle, like I wouldn't be me without that.
That's
And
dope that influenced you in that way.
and then you mentioned Master Ace sitting on Chrome. It's crazy that years later, like I would be like chilling with Lord Digga, making silly jokes. Like
The
it's
D
a whole
stands for Digga. So good. That dude, those guys, Ace Incorporated, that Lachey, Paula Perry, Lord Digga, Steady Pace, I think was the DJ. But at any rate, man, just classic. You don't hear hip hop like this anymore. It might be there. Dutchyy, you got to tell me where it's at. You got to send me a link because I'm looking for that stuff. We got DJ Too Tough on Instagram if he's still there, and Tough Crew. It might have been a little bit before you, 89, 88, 89. Maybe even before that, 87 to like 91.
I wasn't. I think the earliest I go when it comes to actual hip hop is 3 Times Dope. The
Okay.
world is very different now. I
Mhm.
think that's like the earliest I can go. But even when I got into hip hop, I guess that's how like you get the old head thing. And I can objectively say like I don't think I'm an old head because I like current shit too. But even when I was a teen, I was like, I can't fuck with this Run DMC shit or like the yeah, this and that, the blah blah blah. Cause like I was like immediately exposed to like Rascast, Remain Anonymous, and Pharaoh Monch. Like, how do you go from that to like, like it just didn't click for me. You know what I mean? But I also think like the jazzy, beyond lyricism and being able to tell a story, just like the samples in hip hop beats, like just like captured my soul. And then hearing like DJ Premier and P Rock shit, like it was like a rap. So
incredible producers, by the way. Incredible.
Yeah.
I want you to go and check out a Tough Crew. You need to go and you need to listen to Tough Crew. It's TUFFCREW. You need to go and listen to that and make sure that, I want to hear from you because I want to hear what your thoughts are because I got to find the album. Hang on one second. But this album it was incredible. It just blew my mind. I think it was Danger Zone. I mean, back to the rec shop and their other stuff were awesome too. I really just dug those guys. But the Tough Crew Danger Zone album, I could listen to every single song without fast forwarding it. And I remember some of the lyrics too, like not off the top of my head, but like when I'm listening to the music, and it's still good today. Still good today, man. So Tough Crew Danger Zone. If you haven't peeped it, please.
It's possible I've already heard it, and
you might have. You might have heard My Part of
I'll
Town. It was like one of the popular.
Take it right when we get off and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's get to the blockchain. Let's get to that. Let's get to the blockchain because I want to hear about your experience with the blockchain. I want to hear about, what platforms you've tested, what you've used, what has worked for you. Maybe, just fell by the wayside, and didn't work so well. Yeah. So talk to us about that. Let's hear your side of things.
Yeah. So I mean, what got me into blockchain was basically Once the algorithms kicked in, like I just like was like, fuck this shit. I'm just gonna keep making music, but I'm not gonna do any official releases because there's no point in promoting it like anymore. No one has attention spans. I mean, D'Angelo like didn't drop album for over a decade, and then he finally did, and like it had like one day of talk, and I'm like, bro, if he can't capture attention for more than a day, like we're cooked. Like no one has attention span. So in order to preserve my you know passion, I was just like, I got to give up on the releasing part of it. And then pandemic hits, and I'm streaming on Twitch and all this stuff, and then I'm already like trading crypto out of like necessity because I can't do my job. And then, and I didn't really, we talked about not talking about this, but it's too intertwined. Is my health is like really bad, like really bad to the point where like I have to like worry about the fact that technology is not secure to secure my legacy. So when I learned about like what smart contracts can do with like keeping metadata attached to like audio or a video or image, I'm like, oh, this shit is perfect. Nobody can like separate my story. Like it just lives forever. And I was maybe naive in a sense because as I would come to present learn like, yeah, maybe like the data is there like on storage, but if the front end's gone, what's the point unless someone comes back and like archives it and shit like that. So I minted just like just fucking around. I minted my like an alt, like not even like hip hop shit, just like just like improv like jazz piano shit on Rarible in February of 2021. And then I didn't even know about like a scene, like a music NFT scene or PFPs. Because when I saw PFPs, I'm like, bro, that shit is corny. It's corny as fuck. I can't. It doesn't speak to me.
It didn't do anything for you. I feel that.
Yeah, it didn't speak to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was what it was. So I just kept like trading. Like I'm like in like the Phantom ecosystem. I'm like navigating all that bullshit.
So
and then just making music.
What platform is the best for you? Like Rarible, I know you said, but like is everything that you've done on there? Have you not had any issues?
No. So here's the thing. So my purpose for blockchain was what I said, like preserve my stuff, and then and this is where I wanted to touch on what you guys are talking about. You said how this person's fans aren't here, bro. When I pivoted to Web3, the amount of backlash, not only from fans but like my respected like music peers, it sucked because I couldn't talk about Web3 shit because it had a bad rap. And at that time, it's like, unfortunately, like there was like a bad rap around the JPEG shit.
Yeah.
And then also fucking MC Search, I'll always appreciate him for curating Illmatic, but whatever that hit piece, whatever shit he tried to do, where it like crawled all of Spotify and just pulled everyone's artists, man, that did some unrepairable damage to like just blockchain in general. And then
I'm sorry, Dutchyy, but can you elaborate on that? Because I'm not sure what you're talking about there, and it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, so like this was like late 2021 or early 2022, or middle of 2021. I guess Search and some other blockchain people, they created a platform called Hitpiece, and what it was doing was basically, it's back when Spotify had their API open. It was like basically pulling everything from Spotify on chain, and people did not. They were like, "This is like copyright. You're like stealing from shit." Like it was like it went down really quick. So
wow, that's incredible that Search was involved with something like that.
yeah, that blew my mind. Yeah,
that's
but I mean,
nuts.
maybe he didn't know. Like
that's
it's the
possible.
Wild West. Like who knows?
Yeah,
like,
that's true too.
You know what I mean? So like that happened at the time, and then also like it's bad for the environment, and I'm like, bitch, your cell phone is using more energy than this does, but it
Every
is what it is.
A lot of shit is bad for the environment, man.
So for me, it was important that I focused on a way to do it where it's like impossible for any of my friends that popped off to be right. And the one platform I could do that with was Catalog Works, because like they are like, there's no metrics on the website. There's no plays. When you try to sign up as an artist, it like when you're applying for the platform, because it is a curated platform, it literally says we don't care about your Spotify numbers, we don't care about any of that stuff. It's just about the music. So in my logic was like, yo, this is one-on-one music. Like I put it up there, set a price. I don't even promote my shit. So it's literally like if somebody stumbles across it and finds it valuable and collects it, how can you call that a scam? Like that's just somebody appreciating my art.
Right.
Hey,
And
Dutchyy, I just want to interject real quick by saying that. You know, it's funny you say that because me and Hef were checking out Catalog Works, and that's how he discovered you. He stumbled upon it, and he was like, "This guy is making some fucking dope shit. We got to ask him to be on the show." So, I mean, that's just proof in the pudding that, you know, when your shit's out there, people do discover it. You know, but I just wanted to add that real quick. So,
no, I appreciate it. And unfortunately, it sucks because like we just recently found out Catalog Works is sunsetting the one-on-one side of it, which kind of like breaks my whole shit because if my whole thing is preserving my stuff, now I'm realizing it's nothing is as permanent as possible, or as I thought. You know what I mean? But anyway, so like yeah, so there was no like hype on Catalog. There's like playlists, but they're private. There's no like nothing being signaled that it's better than the other. It's just like chronological, and it reminded me of like a record store because I'm not only am I an artist, like I'm a collector. Like my cassette and vinyl and CD collection is like ridiculous. And then my digital collection is crazy, like because all the money I got from making music over the years, because I worked a normal job and I'm an artist, I'm like, I want to always pay it forward and support other art and shit. So Catalog was like the perfect. It reminded me of like a record store where I can go digging and find shit without stuff being like jumbled or lost or shit being pushed on me. Um, and when I first got on there, I was like, the advice I got, because it was all new to me, was like, yo, don't press another record until your first one is collected. And I'm like, bro, I don't give a fuck about if it ever gets collected. That defeats the point. It's like not why I'm here. I got like a lot of shit, and I need to document it while I still have time to do it. So I started doing that, and it's weird because like my name is Dutch and my artist name is Dutch, but I've always never wanted my music. Like I wish I could. I envy Prince. Like I wish my music could still impact, but me not be attached to it. Like I don't want no part of it. Like I don't want the fame type shit. You know what I mean? So like, um, it was weird because like I've I've never been good at like typing a bio, or I was even bad at like when I was like doing shows, like fans would come up and be like, I love your stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how to respond.
Yeah.
So
I think
how I
that's
used
natural,
Catalog
Dutchyy.
was, and what actually ended up being what like made it successful was I started like doing something I would never do and over explaining the music, basically giving when it was created, how, like what was feeling, like just like giving backstory around like the particular song I was mentioned, and that's what seemed to resonate with a few collectors, and that made me at the time I was like internet shit. It all ties together. I was basically like I had over 100 gigs worth of music unreleased and released, and I was like just trying to create a USB, like my own like digital tomb, and get it in people's hands. So even if the internet fails, like it's in people's hands.
Yeah, I remember this
So
too. Like people putting their stuff on little thumb drives and then handing them out with a little advertisement on it, and it might add a song on there, or even more. So yeah, that's cool that
yeah,
you mentioned it.
so I did. I mean, this was like early 2022, so it was already starting to be that shifting phase where like sound had launched, and it was like, oh, at first it was like, it was editions, but it was like limited, like maybe 20 editions for like 0.1 or whatever, something like that.
Yeah. I found
And
a
that
few
was
good artists from Sound.xyz. I ain't gonna lie. There's a lot of cool. We found Mia Leilani on there, her brother Devin Ibiza, Uncle Bucks. A lot of cool. Eunice. We've had these people on the show, except for Uncle Bucks. But like, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on Sound. I love music myself, so I'm always scouring and looking like where can I find a cool song. I want to hear something fresh and something new. So yeah, I use those platforms for that. I don't use it to put my music on because I'm not sure what I want to do with my music, quite frankly, with the blockchain.
Yeah, no, I get that. And then like with Sound, like like I onboarded to Sound around that time, and my onboarding experience was like, it was very different than the catalog. Remember, catalog is like, we don't care about your streams, this and that. And you already remember like my background, like in the analogy of all of this, I guess it's De La Soul Stakes is High versus like Puff Daddy, All About the Benjamins. So I just like stuff to be like organic and like untainted, which is what resonated with me for catalog. It was something that nobody could criticize and call a scam. So onboarding to Sound was a very different thing because it was like, yo, you need to have these, you have to tweet this at this time, you have to do this and that, and then you need to generate hype. And if there's not enough hype, there's like a possibility the drop will get canceled. And I'm like, well, that doesn't feel that.
Wow.
That's completely, that feels different.
Where's their support? Where's Sound.xyz? Where's their support to the artist?
And that was another thing I was gonna say. Like, at this point in age, it doesn't matter if you're an artist, a label, a artisan bread maker. Everyone is beholden to the same fuckery that we are trapped in an algorithmic hell. So, like, promotion on the internet, at least, it only does so much at this point, and it keeps getting worse and worse. Like over time, like the algorithm shit is like.
So how do you get around that? How would you if you were explaining to somebody comes to you and says, "Look, I'm trying to get my music out there," and what do you tell them? What's your suggestion?
I'm the worst person to talk to because I'm like a doom. Like my whole shit in Web3 was I didn't promote it. I didn't do anything. I just let it. I just tried to like put as much work as possible. So like if you were actually on chain and about it, like you really were, like it was impossible to miss. And everyone gets into music for different reasons. Everyone's also at different stages of their life, their capacity for like grinding and playing the game. I'm 42 years old. I've been doing this forever. I did all of the pitching to magazines. I did it all. So like when my fan base was basically like reset to zero and I can't even reach my own fans, I'm like, this shit is stupid. I'm not gonna keep posting to avoid, even though we all keep doing it and shit. But
yeah, that's really what it is,
yeah,
right? You keep posting to like
shoot.
a black hole. Go ahead, J6.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I just wanted to add to it. It's so funny, and when you mentioned that timeline of when all this algorithm shit started, like I'm totally aware that like a lot, most of us are, and it's fuckery, just like you call it. And the thing is, it's like the algorithms are programming artists to create nonsense for the algorithm instead of creating what they're supposed to do, their art. Like they're totally different. Hey, what's happening? I'm working for Jason. Sorry guys, I gotta go.
J6 is at the club, so he's going to be in and out. He had to had to show up there, but yeah, it's right. It's a bunch of fuckery, and you got to jump through hoops in order to do it and do something. Dumb it down.
It's basically the dumb it down. Like and unfortunately, like if you're realistic about like human culture, in history, you realize like humans are like inherently drawn to negativity and drama. That's why like at every checkout lane there's like tabloids and shit. That's why like things like World Star and Jerry Springer pop off. Like
Very true.
no, we're just like an experiment, and we just like, and we prove it daily by like signaling and giving attention to like the worst type of stuff. So like if you had algorithms, that's fine. I feel like a good solve to all of this would be every single platform that's digital, no matter what they are. The default feed should be a chronological feed of only people you follow and just their original posts. And I think that would solve a lot, honestly, because you can have the algorithms, you can have the curated stuff, but losing that everywhere, I mean, the world's like it's madness right now.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and I think a lot of people are seeing this. Okay, I'm going to just use X because we're streaming live on X also. I'm sure YouTube is like this because it's such a bigger. I think it's a bigger pot, YouTube. But with X, I've seen people that, and I've spoken about this before. You know, I've seen people that have they would get like so much engagement, and then all of a sudden they're not getting any engagement. I'm looking at their followers, and I'm looking at the amount of likes and the amount of retweets and the amount of comments, and I'm seeing it down and down and down. And I've seen it with myself also because I have about, and this is definitely not a brag at all, I can care less, but the number, it's a fact, I have a little bit over 5 grand followers on X, and I post stuff. It's not nothing terrible. I think I post cool shit, and I try to post stuff to, you know, I'm a jokester a lot, so I like to post stuff that you know will maybe put a smile on someone's face or jokey, or if I'm promoting somebody's music or promoting something, you know, that I like, and I'm getting minimal engagement, which is so fucking odd to me that this happens. And it's not just me that it's happening to, it's a lot of people that it's happening to. And
Oh
it's,
yeah.
and real quick, before you jump in, there's so much crap. This is regarding what you said with just having your followers, or your people that you're following show up on your feed, on your timeline. I have been adamant. I've been saying it, that I'm getting a bunch of clowns on my timeline. Now, I could be a fucking clown to somebody, which I'm sure I am, right? But either way, if you feel the same way about me, I feel the same way about some of these people that are all showing up on my timeline that I don't want to see. There's a lot of I get a lot of crap. And I'm like, what is this stuff? I don't want to see this. I don't care about most of this stuff. I only want to know about the music stuff. I follow a tremendous amount of music people in hip hop and people in music. And I'm not seeing most of their stuff show up on my timeline. I'm seeing a bunch of crap show up on my timeline, and I'm sick of it. So I don't understand the algorithm of Twitter. I don't know what happened. I don't know how you're supposed to engage these days with people that follow you and people that you follow. I'm lost with that, Dutchyy. I'm lost.
Well, and that's the problem, is that because like everyone has realized like you can't post just like art or just whatever. Everyone's like, well, oh, if I complained about this does whatever, and then you're like, it's like addicted to like, just you're like it's like you're starved for attention just to get attention, and it's warped, and this is beyond music. This just like warps humans fundamentally at like a core level and shit, and it's crazy, and it really trickles down to like everything in real world and businesses and stuff like that, and it doesn't make sense why no platform will just allow a normal default feed as like in general, because let's say you're on, like, it's like back in the day, you're on Twitter, you're in a niche, uh you like building Legos, so all you follow is people that build Legos, and you build Legos, that's all you see, that's why you're on the platform. Back in the day, you wouldn't know anything about what's going on with Trump or this or any tragedy, anything like that. I still think 2015, like the Ferguson shit, was like the test, because we all could not escape what was happening. It was like bombarded, and it drove traffic up, you know. And I think that's what it's all about, whether it's botted traffic or whatever. And
I
to
do
do
see
this
a lot
at
of that
the
botted
expense
traffic.
to do this at the expense of like sanity and just like genuine human interaction, it all bottom. It all boil. I don't know if it's down, if it's just for capital, or if it's for more nefarious reasons to just like dismantle people's like will, or just get them like focused on like negativity or distracted. And there's also like the adjective of like, if you're working on something, don't talk about it before you finish it because you use up that energy.
That's right.
It's like the dopamine, and that's kind of like how it is with like outrage. Like awareness at this point doesn't matter. Like everyone's aware of shit, and now we're also aware that we can't do shit about it, which is even more frustrating.
Yeah.
But to spin it back around, just so I'm not like derailing off, but even though it's all important, because this now we'll play into the next subject. So sound, they originally had like the original lower price, mints and stuff like that. But right when I got on, that's when it like changed to like like low. Everyone was encouraged to lower the price of editions, and at the same time, the homepage was changed because, like you said, I would dig on sound and find dope art and stuff. But what happened with sound made it impossible for that scenario of being able to like argue, my friends, this isn't a money grab, because they had charts, and those charts were like specific artists that were botted to hell. And if you're like in blockchain and you know how to like look on blockchain, this shit was like hella transparent, so people knew it was happening. And again, that's fine if you want to do that, but there also has to be a place for an organic feed or a way to discover. And it's like that was intentionally removed. So that creates like the same scenario as like the late 90s, early 2000s, the payola shit, where nobody stands a chance except for the selected artist. And that's fine, I guess, too. But what isn't fine is doing an ad campaign pretending that the shit is like the savior to get away from Spotify when it's the same broken model.
Yeah.
And there's not even that many people here to collect. So I feel like everyone is being used, collectors, artists, everyone, just as like volume for like protocol, like just to
Yeah.
it's hard, but it has changed my life though in like a good way.
That's great.
So it's like hard because like
You're like a catch-22, you mean?
I literally wouldn't be where I'm sitting, like in a new state, if it wasn't for me getting on blockchain, putting myself out there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I will infinitely be like in love with what it was able to do and what it can do, and I believe it still can do. I hope it can do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to take something major for musicians to get onto a platform that's going to be beneficial for them. Spotify, they are a monster in itself. And yeah, they have, the main purpose is just subscription based, and they need people to put their music on there. Now, this is that whole thing. It's a catch-22, right? You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you don't put your music up there, you're missing out on some visibility. Now, there's different ways that you can market. You can utilize Spotify to push your narrative and your stuff to somewhere else where they're going to actually buy your music, right? But again, here's a good question, Dutchyy. Who is it up to? Is it up to Sound.xyz to push you? Is it up to Spotify to push you? Is it up to any of these music platforms to push you once you get on there?
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard to answer like for these questions, because like I come from an era where like I've already did the pushing when there was a reason to. Like, if I pushed back then, the results were based on the effort I put into it, right? Post algorithm world, that is not true in any sense. It doesn't matter how much you spend on an ad campaign, it's RNG, and you don't even know if you're hitting the right demographics. So like, I don't even believe in put like, I just don't even believe in pushing. Like, it's not it, like, again, because artists need money to survive, right? So like, I can't fault anyone for getting on it, and I would absolutely love.
And I think that's what it is. I think that's what happened is like, okay, so here's a new platform, Sound.xyz. Here's a new platform, Orb. Here's a new platform, Oh damn, I can't remember. What was the one with this? It starts with a C. You mentioned it. We found you on there.
Oh, Catalog Works.
Catalog Works. Okay, so all these.
And then there's Super Collector. There's a bunch of dope ones.
Okay, so these platforms become available, and now musicians. Pardon me a second. I had to clear my throat. I'm fucking sick over here. Yeah. So here you have these new platforms. Now you have all these bedroom musicians, and you have indie artists, people like yourself, people like me, people like J6. And then we didn't do it, but like then you have these places, and now all of a sudden it's a platform for all these musicians to jump on. But I think without doing research and figuring out how am I going to push my narrative, how am I going to market my narrative to the audience, how am I going to get people to know that I'm on sound? And this is kind of sort of what you were talking about with which is pushing your shit before it's released, right? And you use up all that energy. And I think that happens a lot in right now currently because these platforms are there and everybody and their mom that's making music wants to jump in on that because they're not making money anywhere else. And for them, this is a slot. This is a place that they can potentially make an income from and make money from. Right. But you got to do the whole market and promotion. And I don't care. It's still not easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. And you said it before. You're like, the thing that musicians or artists want the most is to be heard and seen. And I think that even comes before money. I know we all need money and would love to be reimbursed, but dope. I know plenty of large artists, major and otherwise, who have kept touching lives, even though it's never paid, and they just keep working jobs. Like artists that you probably think are successful, like have 9-to-5s, and they just keep doing it. And that's because like there's that feeling of purpose you get when people are responding. And SoundCloud was like, it was so easy, and it felt so good for us to put our music on there. I mean, bro, there was like an era like from like 2011 to 2014 that every one of like goats, we were just like making a beat and like immediately exporting that unfinished shit, uploading it, and just like we were all interacting with each other, which was inspiring, which caused us to create more music. What fucked that up is the same model that every place is taking. They added the reposts, took away the main feed of just original posts, and that shit got exploited. And then there's repost chains, and now I can no longer see my friend's shit. Now I'm seeing some weird EDM shit I would never sign up for. And the platform fell off since and stuff. And it's like everyone is taking that model. And I get it if you want to have an algorithm or a curated feed, because some people are lazy and they don't have the time or want to search, but there always has to be a way to see your followers and what they're posting uninterrupted, or else it's like what is the point of having and following? Like, what is the point of following or having followers if it's just like a weird number that means nothing? Like, and that's how I've always felt about Spotify, because I mean, my homie like Harris Cole has like millions, like 50 million monthly listeners, and unfortunately, like he can see data that less than 2% of those people ever have gone to his profile to listen to another song. It's just like passive listeners catching it on a playlist. So how
do you feel with this that it's because he's not a major artist? Maybe he is major, in his field there, but like mainstream. Do you feel like people pass by on it because they don't hear it on the radio or their friends aren't talking about the song? Do you feel that? Because I feel that society is brainwashed. I feel like commercials, television commercials,
oh yeah,
all this stuff is embedded in your brain since you're a little child. And yeah, I feel like a lot of people, the majority of the people are not looking for the indie artist. They're not looking to dive more. If it was a major,
but they're not. But they're also not looking like the artists you're talking about, the ones that are like really successful. Those are like the most passive listeners probably. And yeah, they're like passionate, like a Swiftie or something like that.
Mhm.
So there are like obviously like it's not across the board, but if you and that's why I said like Clear Channel was like the perfect experiment. And I don't know if I remember like the day it launched, because it launched across like every state, and at least in Tampa, it was 98.7, and they played Wild Thing. It was Wild 98.7. They played Wild Thing on repeat for a week straight, and then from that moment, it was a format where they could play the same 10 songs over and over and over, and it brainwashed you. And I don't care who you are, if you're like working at a Subway or something, you're exposed to this music, and whether you hated it or not, enough repeated listens, like it's stuck in your head and stuff. So
yeah. So
if
true.
radio stations wanted to play like dishwasher sounds 24/7, people are eventually gonna like it. So,
it would work. It would work.
Yeah.
That's the
So
fucking scary thing about it.
You know, I wanted to add to that real quick, Dutchyy, that not only that, but the other fuckery involved with Clear Channel is they rob the ability for DJs to have personality. You know, so now the DJs that once were loved by the listeners and they had, they had power. They curated. They were true tastemakers, and a lot of them were great at it. You know, they had special shows. Well, Clear Channel turned them all into fucking playlist zombies, and it killed fucking cool. I'm sorry, but I just want to add that too.
No, that was perfect, and I have a perfect example. Like my hero, like, because like like Rap City was like 2 to 4 every day, and then like Yo MTV Raps was the weekend, and then but where like I really digested culture was public radio, 88.5, Underground Railroad, and it was hosted by Mad Links. And I don't know if you know, Mad Links was the host of Rap City, and Mad Links like played the illest underground shit. Like my like cultural taste is like thanks to him playing such a diverse shit. But that Rap City version of Mad Links is so corny, and it's like he had to survive.
Mm.
And unfortunately, that goes beyond DJing and Clear Channel. That's like literally how people are interacting in the world on social media. Like you deepness or anything, like the personality kind of gets taken out of everything just to like survive. It's very weird. Like your Instagram is like curated engagement posts, or it's just weird. It's content shit. We're like living in Black Mirror.
It's very, very weird. Look, I was on. I go and I scour all this stuff. TikTok, I don't use it at all. Like my account, I just go and I just see what people are doing, and I swear I kept seeing girls not talking at all, but just showing their phone, like to leave a comment, just pushing, showing, you can't see what I'm doing, but they're holding their phone up and they're just pushing the pointing at that stuff. And there's just people just doing mundane stuff. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I'm seeing zillions of followers, zillions of comments, zillions of everything, likes and whatnot. And I don't get that stuff. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm OG. I just don't get a lot of this stuff that people are putting on these platforms. And what's the benefit of it? Like, what do you do with that?
Well, it all boils down to exactly what we said. If it's kind of like the FM radio thing. If you force something down, it just becomes like natural. And the reason why, and I don't know why, like my whole thing has been like Dutchyy versus algorithms. I feel like it's like it's like probably more than healthcare or anything. It's like, because this shit disrupts the world at like a crazy level, and it's impossible to like say that's not true. You go to YouTube. They're like, I'll use Sneeko because maybe he's known. Sneeko is like very controversial right now. He's very large. Everyone knows him. He's like ridiculously controversial. You go to his original channel, if it's still up, his videos were so well done and thought out and artistic. He put so much time into them, and it just didn't pay off. But you know what did? Acting edgy, not caring, shock value, thumbnails, clickbait. I mean, I stay tapped in to the stuff I don't like, so I know. So it's no coincidence that you got Ludwig, who's a huge YouTuber. You have Moist Critical, both in the same week, being like, "This sucks. Like, I don't want to talk about the drama anymore because it just keeps feeding more drama, and it's just going to keep creating more drama YouTubers, and then everyone's addicted to it." Like the stuff with Mr. Beast and all this stuff, like I wake up on my health shit. I want to get inspired. I go anywhere I go. I'm either like, okay, there's been like 3 different pedophiles that have came out this month. I can't avoid that. This platform is going down. This and that. It's like impossible to like be inspired when you're fed all of this stuff. And so how do you promote? How do you roll out an album during all that? It's like it's weird. It's weird. I don't know. But I think the concept of like music on blockchain or art or just blockchain in general is good, but I don't know how like mass adoption can't happen the way that people are that they're trying to do it, because
That's right.
you can't bot it. You can't create fake volume to extend your runway.
And you can't force people to do it, to download a Phantom wallet or MetaMask wallet. You can't do it, and it's not easily explainable. It's it's a little more. You got to, like I said, you got to be tech savvy.
It's also complicated too, man. Like
Yeah.
imagine onboarding people, like the risks, like you got to be really careful with your wallet. So like when you're onboarding somebody, because I had to onboard artists for catalog, and like most of that time was spent like trying to teach them safety, and then you got to teach them like off ramp, on ramp stuff. Like there's a lot that comes with it. And I think like the new solution is like the smart wallet stuff, but I think that gets away from the whole idea of, at least what got me into it was like my identity tied to a wallet. So if now there's like multiple wallets, like I don't know. I feel like everyone's just throwing darts at a board. The economy is like down. You can see it in every industry, laying off so many people. So
yeah, inflation is at its all-time high. A lot of people are, homeless and not making it. And you got to make, $150,000 to live comfortably these days. And yeah, I mean, there's so much crap, so much stuff that's going on, and then you got all these people that are jockeying for position on these platforms like Twitter and so on and so forth. And then also jockeying for position as far as music goes. I want to ask you here, where do you think all of this goes? Do you think people give up on Web3? Not Web3, I shouldn't say that. Let me stab myself. Not Web3, buddy, but like the blockchain. Do you think that people are going
It doesn't matter if we call it Web3, blockchain,
True.
on-chain. Like you can't jazz up something. If you cannot give people a reason that's different from like what already exists, like there's no new Bandcamp when there's already a Bandcamp. Like what? Like
All right, so listen, my question is this. Do people, artists and musicians alike, do they revert back to the traditional way of doing things, or do they stick with the blockchain? What's your opinion with that? Because I really feel like people are going to just revert back.
I mean, I would say like the fundamentally like the tech is good. So it really depends on what your reasoning is for it. You know what I mean? For like coming on, but I see no disadvantage of like diversifying and being everywhere. I say that ironically, where like I like historically have like rejected Spotify. I put one album up in 2006 and then like abandoned that shit. And then oh shit, hold on. I finally like looked at my phone. CY is in here.
CY.
Shout to CXY. So
I see him down there. Yeah.
CXY is like my biggest inspiration. He was like one of like the few people that found me on catalog, and just like ideologies around music and culture and stuff like that. Like we connected on like a lot of stuff. He really thinks it's important to have the music on everywhere, and he uses Spotify as a user. So it's like put it all up there. Why not let it exist there? And that sounds easier than it. It sounds easier than it is, because like there's like stupid rules, like you can't have, like I experimented, I put an album up I did in like 2010, and because it was an album and it didn't have like a rollout, it just like it's like it doesn't exist. Like no one's ever heard it. So the only way to actually like get listeners up is by putting like a song every few weeks, and then promote pre-save links. There's so many like mechanisms, and to do that, for each single, it has to have a unique artwork. So you're ending up doing all this work and I have like thousands of songs I want to dump. So there's part of me that just wants to be like, here's 1,000 songs in a singular album with black artwork. Now it's there, it exists and stuff. But I just I don't know. It's you can be discouraged, honest about what's not working, and also be hopeful and inspired on how it could work. And
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it work. I would like to see some. I would like to honestly. I would like to see some musicians, people that are actually, in the trenches of making music, and those people get together and build something where developers can actually take it to the next level. I do feel like these platforms that are out now, they're all business people, and they're not musicians. And their music, they're maybe they like music, but they see that there's a potential to make money there. And having these platforms again, a lot of artists, indie artists, see it as an opening, and they try to jump in there as fast as possible. Now, the business model for the platforms are they don't care whether you're good or you're bad. They don't care if they like your song or they don't. If you're on their platform and you utilize their platform, they're going to end up making money the platform. And that's all they give a shit about, in my opinion here. That's all they care about. I want to jump real quick because we like to bring people up on the show to jump in the conversation with us, Dutchyy. So I want to bring up my dog Minton since he is in England and it's probably like 4 a.m. over there now. So Minton, how you doing, buddy? We got Dutchyy here. Do you have any questions for Dutchyy, or do you want to join in the conversation, like what we're talking about?
Yeah, hey, it's 3 a.m. here. But that's all right, I'm just playing some Jedi Survivor whilst listening. Yeah, really good conversation. I mean, I agree about a lot of the problems with a lot of the algorithms not being able to see, what you want to see, basically. I think there is something to be said. There is a place for those other feeds, because I think otherwise that's a way of discovery and I, to Spotify, for example, as a consumer rather than a musician on there, have discovered a lot of new music from certain playlists, but I actively go looking for it and choose certain playlists, and the same with certain blogs or other kind of audio shows, but I go looking for a particular thing, and I guess it's about niching down a lot of it. So there's particular blogs or playlists for particular very fairly niche musical taste. I guess what I was going to ask was, what do you think of Patreon? Because I know it's a different thing and it's not Web3, but Patreon is created by Jake, I can't remember his name, but a musician who founded it for a purpose. And I think, somewhere between Bandcamp and, which has also been fucked by corporates now to some extent, and Patreon, I think there's something in that space that if they embraced a bit more blockchain or Web3 for micropayments and loyalty and stuff like that, I feel like there's still something there.
I agree. So like I have a Patreon account. I just never I never utilize it. But the thing is, like I follow like lots of I consume a lot of like podcasts and streamers and stuff like that. So I know Patreon is like a successful model for what I was trying to do at the time. It just couldn't contain the like. But my issues are probably going to be not what others are. Like mine is always like file size issues. Like I want to like upload like 5-hour 32-bit waves, and so no one can contain that, or like super large videos and stuff like that. And at the time when I was trying to do that, that just wasn't possible. And because I wasn't going to promote anything anyways, it just didn't make sense. But I think Patreon is a great model. It would be dope if they integrated blockchain, because I don't think anyone should be against it. And I don't think anyone should be like, it's going to save the world. But I think it should be an option, because like the reality
Hey
is...
guys, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was just wondering why you guys are on this topic. I was wondering, Minton, did you check out that YouTube thing that was done at South by Southwest by Jack Conte, the guy that started Patreon?
Oh no.
I'm gonna pin it, guys. You guys should check it out. It's really good. It's covering a lot of the stuff we've been talking about tonight, and I thought it was pretty exciting. He was very passionate, and it's an hour long. But if you get a chance, put it on. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up now, but I'm gonna
Please
pin it
do.
to the top.
Yeah, please pin it. That would
Yeah,
be
thank you.
great. With Patreon, look, I just think that it's going to take. There's the platform has to be put together correctly. You can't just throw shit there. You gotta it's got to be right on all levels, not just for the platform, but for the musicians. That is a question. That is the question. That's the $1 million question. How do you build it, right? It's a rhetorical question here, guys. I'm not expecting you guys to answer this. This is just something that's who's going to build it? And how is it going to be built? Patreon, like you said, has a great platform. They're already embedded. They're already embedded in people's minds, and they're embedded in on the web, on the World Wide Web. So people are utilizing Patreon. YouTubers are doing it. X people, anybody. You got something you want to make some money with, or you want to do something. Patreon is a really, really cool and really just a cool place to utilize. It would be great, if they did, have the platform on the blockchain, or there was a aspect of their platform on the blockchain. And maybe since we're talking about it, they probably have already thought about it. Who knows what the situation is on that?
Yeah. I think the other thing with Patreon is it works as a, well, I guess as the name implies, it works as a sort of subscription model. And I know bands that have taken their accounts down because they didn't feel that they were putting enough stuff out to sort of justify a regular subscription. I think looking into a more sort of transactional, I've got a new thing coming out, pre-order, that kind of model might work. And the other thing I think is it works as a model, as a business model, it as an interface, as a user, and I guess as you were saying about the file sizes and stuff like that, it's absolutely terrible as a thing to use beyond providing a regular payment or support for someone. And anyone that I've ever subscribed to, really, other than a pure podcast, I've always basically just had one post that just has huge numbers of links to other places like YouTube, non-listed YouTube links and stuff like that for the actual content. So I think there's a lot of stuff to do there. But I'm definitely going to check out the thing J6 mentioned.
Yeah, Dutchyy, I want to ask you, Dutchyy. Thank you, Minton. There's something I've been messing with called Fountain. Fountain is a platform that allows you to put your podcast on there, and it's like a pay to or earn to listen to earn. And if you're a creator, you can earn. Also, people have to support what you're doing, obviously. I feel I didn't know if you knew of Fountain. I've been talking about it for the last 3 shows. I really dig the platform. I think it's for us doing a podcast. It's super difficult. I think anything, even music, it's difficult to get heard and get to the right people, unless you're advertising. With these platforms, like something like Fountain, or where they're utilizing the listen to earn or whatever. What's your thought on that, Dutchyy, to incentivize the listener? Do you think it's fake? Like, do you think that, okay, so here I want to add to this. At the end, how long can you sustain giving money away to people? How long could you sustain giving a token to somebody? So on and so forth. That eventually has to die down. And when that does, do you feel like those people that are on those platforms are going to look for something else that's going to put money in their pocket? I'm talking about the listener, the consumer.
Yeah. So you asked the question and gave my response to it, and like the perfect examples of that. Like, in a perfect world, that'd be great. Like, if your time was actually valued, no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, like there's a way to like earn and stuff like that. Like that sounds great. But as I've seen it happen, and anyone that does this, it's not sustainable. It's exploited ridiculously. It does have like a bad, feel like a bad intention, because you're drawing like the wrong crowd almost. It'd almost be better to like a platform to see active users and then just like blindly reward them without like being that advertisement. And you see like how this panned out on like Farcaster and stuff like that, and just in general, like it. So I don't know. Like I think it could be used good, but I also see like and it isn't sustainable. And unfortunately, like that's the real problem is like I understand like things have to be sustainable to like survive.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like like platforms like getting money, this and that. I would like to say that like catalog literally takes no fees. They don't promote. They don't promote. They don't make any ruckus or anything like that. But they also have to like pivot now their model, because they didn't exploit artists at all or anything like that. But they're trying to build something new that also has integrity. So I mean, there are people that are building that are musicians that have good intentions. Um, it's just the world is weird. And then you have Super Collector who's also doing stuff and on Patreon. Like Patreon is a good model because like they take such a low percentage that like even like if you're streaming on Twitch, I would see friends streaming on Twitch like 16 hours a day and be like, why aren't I growing? Well, there is zero discoverability on Twitch. Like any large streamer that you see on Twitch, that is not from the hours they put in. That has to be brought to the platform. So they have to hire people to do like clips for TikTok and YouTube, this and that.
There's a lot of work,
But
bro. It ain't a bed of roses, that I could tell you. You got to really do it.
but Twitch takes a larger cut than Patreon. So like a lot of people will be like, just subscribe to Patreon, forget the emotes.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if like they're listening to earn.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just think like these are platforms that need to get people on their platform. Spotify is definitely not giving you money to listen. They're taking your money. And they would never, ever in a million years think we got to pay. Even in the beginning of Spotify or Pandora before Spotify, none of those platforms gave you money or gave you an incentive to listen to the music, to sign up to their platform. They're just not doing it. But these new platforms, they need to do it, or at least they feel like they need to do it. I don't think Sound does it, but like I think a few of these new companies, new platforms that are jumping off, that they need to do it, or at least like I said, they feel like they need to do it to get the listeners to their platform. My concern really is, like I already discussed it, I already said it, is like what happens when you're done incentivizing the listeners and the artists themselves, then what happens to your platform? You know what I mean? So again, all opinionated here, but I think we're all on the same track.
Yeah, and I think that's already playing out. Like and I get it. Like you're starting a business, you want it to be successful, but like the reality is like we're stuck in an algorithm world, and it's always going to be like ground zero. So fighting for attention is what everyone's trying to do. So if your business is scaled on volume and it's not organic, how do you promote it? Even like the earn stuff, like I feel bad because I don't want to sound like a doomer. It feels hard unless like the core internet changes, and because like search engines are no longer even normal. Everything is like how Google works is it doesn't even, if you search for something, it changes that result and feeds you back whatever brings back the most AdSense, which is like insane. I don't even know how that's legal, but that literally does happen. That's not like a conspiracy, that's actually happening. So like if the like fundamental public spaces that everyone's using are broken, I don't know how things can spider web off, because like the blogs died, magazine like print has died out. So everyone hates being on their social media timelines but won't get off of it. So it's weird. It's like it feels bizarre world. And like I want to be hopeful, but I don't know how this changes without changing those fundamental things. Because everyone's stuck in the same position of like fighting for attention and keeping their attention.
Yeah, you bring up a valid point. J6, I want to throw the mic to you. If you're available on this, I wanted to hear. Yeah, I wanted to get your take on this as well.
Well, for sure. Well, this is what I believe. First off, there's one thing, and even though Twitch might not be the best example of it, there's one thing to look at too. A lot of artists are not particularly tech savvy. So not only is discoverability something that's offered, but the actual tools of the platform are a valuable source to a lot of artists. So that's helpful. Now, Twitch may be a bad example, but and then also, once again, back to the algorithms. The algorithms are terrible, but you know where the algorithms can't be fucked with? IRL. And I know this sounds kind of maybe calorically inefficient, but I believe that the platforms need to offer more than tools, because we're with all this AI and all this stuff, we're entering an era where the artists, even if they're not tech savvy, can build their own platform and their own platform. They could utilize blockchain or not utilize blockchain, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be too hard for an artist to manage their own platform. And I believe the IRL connections, the human connection, go play a show. Don't even play a show. Go to a coffee shop and have a conversation with the barista and say, hey, I make fucking beats. Check this out. Yo, here's a thumb drive. You know what? Why not? Thumb drives, you can still hand one out now. Better yet, you can say, here's this QR code, scan this shit. Here's this near field communication chip, scan this, tap this. Go to my platform, check out my shit. You'll like it. Or you know what? Go out front of the place and stand on a box and start fucking singing your song. But the human connection will never be fucked with through algorithms. So I think it's a combination of that. Like, go out in the real world, and even though it's not ideal, and like I said, it's calorically inefficient in a lot of ways, but I feel this is one power that we have to get our voices heard. Anyway.
You know who is like champion that for years, and anyone that's actually like in hip hop will understand this statement. Percy fucking P. Percy P is like the king of like in your face promoting.
Love Percy P, dude.
And bro, he caught me on both coasts every single time I was like in New York in front of Fat Beats, in LA. Like I could not avoid him. He was always like hand to hand sell tapes. Like
Yeah,
that is
Percy.
like
He was
that
out.
is
He was living in
dedication
LA for a while.
for. Yeah, he was in LA when I was out there
Yeah.
doing the same thing, and I'm like, damn, he never stopped guerrilla marketing. He believes in this stuff so much, and
Yeah.
I'm like, crazy. He never lost that drive and hustle to be like, I believe in what I do. I think you should listen to it.
Yeah,
Like,
one of the best fast rappers out there, for real. Percy P, MC Percy P. I had the opportunity to talk with him. Back in the days, I was trying to do a like this, like a music podcast, but this is going back like in the early 2000s, and so Percy P, just a great dude, and yeah, again, the testament to pushing yourself and getting out there. He was always, like you said, with the CDs, with the tapes. He would just show up at a show, and he would get on the mic and freestyle, or he would get up and drop a verse because everyone knew who he was, right? So he had carte blanche. But that's what it takes. It takes a human being like that really is dope, but never got the real shine or the light put on him because he just didn't have the right deal, or he didn't have the right production, just didn't have anything lined up for him where he could really, really take off. But underground legend and hip hop legend, MC Percy P, one of the best battles that I know, Lord Finesse and Percy P. So, but yeah, you got to push yourself, Dutchyy. You know this, right? You got to, J6, you got to push yourself.
Hey,
otherwise, no one's going to know who the hell you are.
For sure. I want to add to that real quick, only because I had such a great conversation with a friend of mine today. A friend of mine was a pro wrestler, right? And he, I guess indie pro wrestler, though, right? Not like WWE or anything. But he was just talking to me today about just what we're talking about here. And he had spreads, like not just like a little one page, but spreads in Pro Wrestling Magazine a few times. And he was breaking it down to me how it happened, and because he would wrestle in these matches, and he's awesome. He's like, if you looked at him, he's a specimen. He's just like, he's really good, but he's an indie guy, right? But he told me, and this dude didn't drive a car or anything, I worked with him, but he would, like, even if wasn't wrestling in a match, he would take a bus and travel like 3 hours just to hang out at someone else's match, just to be seen there. And then through that, people started recognizing him because he was out in the world, right? And he was such a specimen. He's a cool dude. So he got put on by not even necessarily like when he wrestled, it was magnificent, but he got put on from just being out in the world, even when he wasn't wrestling. And he was stressing that to me today. That's why it's kind of fresh in my mind because he was like, "Yo, man, it's like we got to go out in this world and we got to touch people, we got to connect with them, we got to have conversations." But it's a wrestler. But I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
Okay, real quick, I'm a huge wrestling fan. Been a huge wrestling fan since my dad took me. I was 5 years old to my first wrestling match. I got to see Ernie the Cat Lad against the last match. It was Dusty Rhodes. And I was a huge fan of Dusty Rhodes, and he ended up getting cut, bleeding in that, and I started crying. I was like 5 because he was like my favorite wrestler. I want to know who the hell this guy is, your friend, if you could tell us or not.
No, I totally can. And like I said, he's an indie wrestler. Like he wasn't like
dope.
he wasn't. But you know what I'll do? His name is Atu.
Okay.
And you can check out some. You know what? I'm gonna find a YouTube thing and pin it
Cool.
while the show's going on right now because that'll be the best thing. But cool, super cool dude. He makes art too, by the way. He animates. This dude is like crazy. Like I mean,
Wow.
crazy as it cool. Like he makes animations. He makes music. He produces his own music, and his style is totally his. Like he can't. Like you might love it or hate it, but he's a unique character. So he's definitely worth pinning. I'm gonna pin a bunch of his shit while the show's going on.
Okay,
He's a super cool dude too. Like, but anyway, I rap with him a lot. He's always gives me words of wisdom, so I'm gonna share them to the top right now.
That's right. So
I appreciate those words of wisdom. They're really important. Like when you step outside in the world, it can be scary, but like variables happen. And that also includes like the online world, right? So like both the reason I'm sitting in the house I am and surviving is because of putting my music on catalog. The reason I'm in this space right now talking is because the music was on catalog and apparently you saw it on there. So it's always good to like put yourself out there. I also see like like the promoting IRL versus like online. I've actually seen like trying to roll out and promote online literally like retire the most talented producers and MCs because it's just like the burnout you get from that, like it's crazy. So it's like twofold in an internet algo world, but it's still an important thing because like you never know who's watching and listening. And shout out to wrestling, great Muto Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, dude. So many dope wrestlers, man. Today, so since I might as well just jump in here about wrestling real quick. So Netflix, matter of fact, Raw is going to be on Netflix. I'm not sure if SmackDown will be, but I think Raw got picked up and it's going to be on Netflix. And if you've watched wrestling lately, you've noticed that the storylines, the writing is picked up, and the camera angles and all kinds of different stuff that you would have never seen in the OG, like the way that they've been doing it. So I like it. I think that it's entertaining. I don't know. It's fun. And I've been watching it since I'm a kid. And so, yeah, I'm still watching it after 50, 40 years. Yeah. So love it.
Yeah.
Man.
I fell out like shortly after that Legion of Doom and stuff, but because I lived in Tampa, like that's like a wrestling hub. So like
Huge.
Hulk lived there. Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Like a fun fact, I was hit by like a military grade Hummer.
Whoa.
Like a week before 9/11, and it like destroyed my spine and probably sent me down a very weird trajectory in life. But that Hummer was owned by Shawn Michaels. Oh, crazy. Shawn Michaels company.
Shawn Michaels. Yeah, I think it was, there were so many Florida Wrestling, FWA, Florida Wrestling Association. I used to, Gordon Soley was my guy. Every Saturday morning I would watch Championship Wrestling, Florida Championship Wrestling. And I don't know, just all those guys, dude. Like, and I went to so many events because growing up in Miami, we, again, Florida. So we had a lot of wrestling, professional wrestling down there. Always fun. And it's interesting. These, much props to them. The women and men, it's not easy. It's not easy. Like you could think it's fake all you want. Anybody, I don't, it's choreographed, but you're still taking a bump. You're still getting hit with a chair. You're still taking a punch every once in a while. You're still getting a chop, and that hurts. Yeah, it's not all a bed of roses there with wrestling, professional wrestling. So much props to them. I want to close up our show. Dutchyy, we do the show for about an hour and a half, and we're reaching that mark. We're reaching that hour and a half mark. So is there any, I see J6 drop down. Hopefully he'll come back up before the end of the show. But I wanted to ask you, Dutchyy, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time and coming and hanging out with us and having a conversation with us. I know that you're going through some internal health issues and stuff like that. And much props to you for finding the energy to come on and hang out with us. Love to have you come back on anytime. You got the experience. You're a cool dude. So you have open door policy with us. Anytime you want to, anytime that you want to come back on, you're more than welcome. You don't even have to, you don't have to ask. You just show up and we'll get you up on the stage. But I want to ask you before we get out of here, and J6 is coming back up, but I want to know, what your last thoughts are here with everything. Like, if what are your last thoughts?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. Like from like the jump, I was like, I would love to do it. I can't guarantee I can do it, but I really want to do it. And then, like the fact that like I know you're someone that like about Delicious Vinyl Frank and Nick, you know what I mean? Like we could actually have a productive conversation about music where there's actually like history, because like in order to like understand today, it's like you having experienced how it was before does definitely help. And when you're like passionate about music and or adjacent to the music business, it's easier to see like what's being attempted right now and not working, and then what's also trying to be recreated and not working. And the people that aren't used to it don't see that the same model is happening. So I appreciate you bringing me up. How I feel about things, it sucks because in my heart I'm always like glass half full, but I'm also like hella observant, right? So like I only can go off of what I'm shown, and it's it's hard right now because like I want to just keep documenting, whether the arts or whatever is if it's like financially that like that's not a part. I just don't want to waste time to stuff that's just gonna disappear. But that's just me personally. Like
Nobody
and
does, Dutchyy.
and
You want your
and the
shit to get
way
heard.
everyone is operating, whether it be Bungie or this like company, it really feels like scary. Like everyone is like scrambling, trying to attempt everything before everything collapses, and that's hard not to observe. So I would just say like to anybody, just like take a chance, um, go in without expectations, and yeah, just like share your expression.
Share.
That's it.
Yeah, share.
Like, is there any like specific questions for you
Nah,
or the audience?
no, not really. I mean, I wanted to just hear what your end take was on our whole conversation, and yeah, like any advice that you would have for anybody that's listening, not especially now, but like we get a lot of people that listen back to the show that are sleeping now, that are overseas. So when they do listen back, if there's anything positive that you would can tell, an up and coming musician.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. So like, and yeah, I definitely am like a late listener with a lot of stuff, so I understand. And I guess I will also play like putting yourself out there is important because like even if you're not seeing what's happening right now, somebody coming across an album that was released years ago. I mean, my favorite albums were released in like the late 60s and 70s, and they're impactful. You know what I mean? But they never got the props, they never got the money from me, but they've impacted my life. So I think like putting your art out there and being like expressive and just being your true self is like probably the most important thing. On the expectation side of it, like success or even like acknowledgement, that's like hard for me to give advice on because like I feel like everyone is fighting for that right now and is starved of it. So it's like hard. Um, it's hard to like give anything on that. And I hope that doesn't like discourage passionate people from sharing their expression because it's a crazy world right now. So, in the crazy world, like we need art to art helps you, music helps you get through a lot. You know what I mean? And I feel like throughout history, like we know about stuff thousands of years ago through art and stuff like that. So I feel like it's also good to like document what we're seeing, honestly. Like
Yeah.
good and bad. You know what I mean? Like,
Truth.
Capture that shit. You know what I mean?
Very true. Art and music has been going on for centuries. Before probably a lot of other stuff, traditional stuff that's traditional now. So big ups to all the musicians way, way ahead of us, even before our favorite artists, people that have been doing this, that have been at it, and that have inspired us to want to do music ourselves. Big ups to them. Big ups to you also, Dutchyy. I want to, again, just say thanks for taking your time and coming out and hanging out with us, man. It's been a breath of fresh air, and it was great to hear your stories and to hear your thoughts on what, music and tech. It's super important, because like I said, you've been in this game for a long time. You're an OG, in my opinion, and dope to hear that you have music on the blockchain and that you're not afraid to step out of your comfort zone and try and do something with what's available now. It's awesome. So thank you again, J6. I want to pass the mic to you before we zip out of here, and then I'm going to play a song from Dutchyy. I played in the earlier of the show. I'm going to play it again because it's a dope song. So J6, up to you, my guy.
For sure. Yo, I just wanted to double down on that. Dutchyy, it's so awesome to have you here, man. I really appreciate your takes and your outlooks just on being an artist and, being true to yourself as a creator. And, that's what our job is. Like, our job isn't to be successful. Our job is to create our truth from our heart and be genuine as people and as artists. And I think that is... that's the reward right there, and that's the reward to the planet, to give to people, and then whatever we get from that, who knows? But you're the real deal, man, and I appreciate meeting you, and I can't wait to dig deep into your catalog of music now that I've spoken with you. I've listened to it already, but I'm going to listen to it with a whole new outlook now that I've gotten to know you a little bit. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody here tonight too. Go ahead.
Most def, man. Crowd loves what you just said. They love it. I want to, again, thank you also, J6, for your time. And everybody that's in the audience listening, whether you're watching us on YouTube, whether you're watching us on X, whether you're listening to us on X, whether you're watching us on Instagram, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for hanging out with us. We do the show every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The last Tuesday of every month, we do what's called a community jam, and we have everybody come up that wants to come up, that, has something that they have on their mind and they want to talk about. It doesn't necessarily have to be about music or tech. It could be, anything. So it's really just for us to reach out and get to know our community a little bit better, and for them to get to know us a little bit better on a one-on-one basis here. So make sure you tune in every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do it here. We're powered by Rug Radio, and I'm going to leave us with a song from Dutchyy. So here we go.
Just Riffin. Tuesday night, 8:30 EST. Know where we be. Just Riffin. Special guest and tech and talk. A musicology. Just Riffin. Coming to you live at the same time. Here every week. Just Riffin. Jump in the room. Let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep. Just Riffin.